It's very important that you share your opinions what Nikon should release next. And that's not very good. Hello, still here? What I did is basically I've unplugged everything and I've replugged everything. Can you hear me now? Is there a sound? I like how on this quality, no sound, okay. No sound, can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Let's try again. We are getting there. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Audio is good, video all good. You can hear me now. Yeah, it's better now. Loud and clear. Okay, hello. And here I thought I am ready. It's 2:15. I actually had a couple. This is lovely, isn't it? Ah, this is nice. This is lovely. Lovely jubbly. What's going on here? It is one of those days, isn't it? Can you hear me? Can you see me? I don't know what's going on. But Icon says, Con, your Wi-Fi needs a cuppa. I need a cuppa myself. I need a whiskey because when was the last time we had buffering like this? So can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Let's do it again. Shall we start again? It's just the people who are going to watch this later on. They will they will see what was that the last 5 minutes. So thank you everyone for staying with me. I'm going to start again the third time round, maybe third time the charm. So thank you everyone for joining me today. We're going to talk about what's next for Nikon. That's the point where it starts buffering. Going to talk about what's next for Nikon, and because the show is about you and your comments in the live chat, I want to see what you think Nikon should release next within, let's say, these 6 months. Yeah, so we're kind of hitting half of the year. I mean, I know it's June, it's not July, but, you know, we've survived half of 2025. Second half is coming in. What do you think they should release in the next 6 months? And what do you think they will release? So reality versus speculation. I mean, reality, we don't know what Nikon is going to release next, but let's discuss that in the chat. So that's a good time to say the coffee fund is open. I don't have a coffee on me. I definitely need one. So let's do that. Let's start. So hello everyone in the chat. John, Paul P, Len Oshman, Jacob, Rick Getty, who says, speculation, what a topic. I will speculate that phase 1 will introduce the Mamiya 7 Mark III. Yes, that Fuji will bring back the TX1 Mark III, but I'm living in alternative universe. Can I live in the same universe as you, Rick? Because that all sounds like a music to my ears. Give us a proper medium format sensor, not the Mickey Mouse medium format sensor, not the 33 by 44 stuff. Give us a proper large, well, medium format sensor, yeah, so 6:7 ratio or square 6:6. That's what I want. But even getting to 645 sensor, they used to make those. They don't do them anymore for some reason, or you have to spend a lot of money. But it would be interesting to see, isn't it? So that would be absolutely lovely. Give us old sensor. If if it's very expensive to manufacture, well, sandwich two full frame sensors together, the old ones, and release this medium format. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how those things work. So, but if someone can give us a proper medium format sensor, ideally bigger than 645, so something like 6:6 or 6:7, 6:8, 6:9, who knows? But I would love one of those personally. I just don't have the money. That's the thing. We all say we're going to buy things, and then we see the price, and I was like, okay, I'll wait for another year. I'll buy it secondhand 5 years down the road. You know what I mean. Okay. Hello, Colin. Hello, Andy, who is asking who is going to the Build exhibition in New York on 17th and 18th. Let Andy know in the comments below. From what I've read, Nikon is going to have a stand there with Red together. So that sounds fun. It's going to be a good time to try out all the Nikon lenses. They have all the, all the good glass, all the 1.2 stuff. And also video lenses. Obviously, Red cameras are going to be there. Sounds like fun. I have a question for you people. I'm looking to buy my first set of cinema lenses, right? So I've got Nikon lenses that I have adapted, F-mount to a cinema camera. So the Blackmagic I use at the moment, so it's L-mount. I'm looking at DZO film lenses. Have you tried those? Have you tried those Vespids? Have you tried those Typox Chimera C lenses? Please let me know in the comments below, because I would like to know. I'm doing my research and I'm not sure. I think I'm probably will go to a couple of Vespid lenses for my setup, but those Chimera Cs are beautifully made, smaller, lighter, but I can't really find any good feedback. A lot of it is kind of internet reviews and they're all positive. I need to kind of, it almost feels like a YouTube advertising, if you see what I mean. So I want to hear the real people. If you use it, let me know in the comments below, please. All right, so let's have a look so we got Andy, we saw, Warren, Richard in the chat, Simon as well, Pete Gazzolo, David Liu, who says, Crystal Ball says Nikon would start making cine lenses for the red lines. Sigma just released a whole bunch for Sony and Arri. Yeah, Sigma's cinema lenses are supposed to be really good if you like it clinically sharp lenses. So they would compete with something like Takina Vision type of lenses. So on more expensive side, but it comes from a Japanese manufacturer, so their level, they will charge more for those things. But as I say, companies like DZO Film, I believe they're Chinese-based, or Typoc are releasing cinema lenses that are a lot cheaper, and they have character, so they're a little bit, let's say, a vintage rendering with a modern design, as we call it. So, but Sigma released this. We haven't seen anything from Sigma as well for Z-mount, apart of those 3 APS-C lenses, and nothing else since then. So a lot of people have discussion on the internet, well, has Nikon really opened their mount to third parties or not? Because technically, we have 3 main manufacturers, third-party manufacturers. It's Tamron, who is releasing lenses that kind of don't compete with Nikon, except the 28-75 2.8 lens, which is effectively a direct competition with 28-75 Nikon lens, which is based on a Tamron design, even if Nikon doesn't say it, but, kind of we've connected the dots, yes. So, and then we have obviously Voigtlander, who is kind of releasing manual focus lenses with the characters, so they're not directly competing with Nikon. And then we have Sigma, who released 3 APS-C DX lenses effectively, and that's pretty much it, because, we don't know what they're going to release now. I mean, we know they have this whole Sigma art line of lenses that we all love as photographers, so there is opportunity to release them there, but what's holding Sigma, to do this, that's a question, it's a big question. So maybe if they don't want to compete in a still space, maybe they'll release a video glass for Nikon. Who knows? Who knows? And I expect Nikon to release more video related lenses. Obviously 28 or 2135 lens is the first one in the list. It has this gold ring which Nikon will use from now on for their video glass, so I assume they will release something similar to fill the ultra wide angle range and probably the telephoto. All right, so let's move on. Let's see. Paul P says, anyone need in-camera focus stacking for macro shooting? Some people do, some people don't. So you really need to decide for yourself. In some places, technically, in some cases, you will see a difference. You effectively get a slightly better dynamic range with the focus stacking. But realistically speaking, again, it's got its own niche use. It's not like I wouldn't say that even every second person. I think use it. I'm sure people tried it to see for themselves. Realistically speaking, how often you need to use it, that's a good question. So, but for macro, when nothing is moving, you will get obviously a higher resolution image. So overall, you can get larger prints if you need to. But again, if it's for digital use, there may be not a point to do that. But this is entirely up to you as a photographer to decide on this. Let's go further and see. Michael Reed says, good afternoon, Con and everybody from sunny West Cumbria. Got my Nikon Owners yesterday. Great editorial by Gray on hazards of festivals. So yes, the printed issue we've received last week, so it's gone out to Nikon Owner subscribers. And if you're a digital subscriber, you should have access to the latest digital issue of the magazine. If you want to subscribe for digital issue, digitally with a discount, there's a Con Live code that you can use, and the links to the website in the description under this video. So do that if you want to. It's very good. Speaking of festivals, I went to a music festival a couple of weeks ago. It was fun. It was in London, around Herne Hill area. It was a jazz festival, so really good. Really enjoyed this. Really loved the organization. Actually, everything was really nicely done, so I enjoyed this. Let's go and see what people say. I mean, I kind of looked at, I thought, what Nikon will release next? Okay, we kind of have several cameras that, we think Nikon should release, but they may want to do it. So, but let's say, like we talked about Z500 for quite some time, and obviously it's a flagship DX camera for sports and wildlife photography. There's Z7 Mark III as well, which is, as we discussed with Bruno last week on a live stream. And if you haven't watched it, definitely check it out, because Bruno is a very knowledgeable chap. And if you read through the lines, what he says, there's a lot of information there. But yes, so Z7 Mark III, low and slow, high resolution, high dynamic range, but maybe it won't compete in terms of speed with a 45 megapixel cameras, let's say like Z8, Z9, and 24 megapixel cameras like Z6 III. But if you look at Nikon rumors, there's two cameras there. It's Z9 Mark II. And they say that there was a model number registered somewhere in some sort of Chinese regulator. So that was that. And then there's a video camera, which is Nikon ZR, as they call it. So it's effectively a Nikon dedicated video camera with red technology. So those two that internet think that will happen next. So, but I want to hear your thoughts in the chat as well, because well, at the end of the day, the show is about you. We have Seth in the chat who says, what's next? I'm going to say with IBC coming up later this year, Nikon will have an affordable cine body options coming. Just got a feeling. Yeah, video, I think it's easy to say that it should come because, otherwise what's the point of that red acquisition? But it will be interesting to see what Nikon will do in the Nikon space with the red technology, and what red will do with the Nikon technology in the red space, because we're talking about different price points. But what I was told, kind of like just talking with people, knowledgeable people in the industry, a lot of people say, don't buy your cinema camera right now. Just wait and see what happens. Okay, in that space, not just Nikon, all brands considered. So that's kind of what I was told. So, which is very interesting. So, If you are planning to buy a dedicated video camera now, maybe wait for a few months. That's the thing. I don't have any more information. I don't even have the, let's say, like if it's like 3 months or something down the road. But this year, something interesting is going to happen in that space. So that's the speculation right now. I don't know. You tell me what was going to be. Do you think it's going to be a Nikon thing, or do you think it's going to be another brand? Like I'm just looking at other brands, right? And obviously we've seen that Nikon just got their basically majority share in Japan in the month of April, according to Japanese news, and it tells me in a way that obviously Nikon has quite a good rounded lineup of cameras, and people love what Nikon is offering. They're buying it. Now, if you're looking at Sony and Canon dropping significantly, I think it's to do with their current lineup. And, obviously Sony hasn't released anything major very recently. Canon hasn't done anything major, particularly, with their cameras. There's a lot of complaints about Canon RF system in general, and especially their openness to third-party manufacturers and things like this. So that's probably the reason why in a small market of Japan, obviously, it's not an indication what's happening in the world, but I think it's just an interesting trend to see. Will it continue? It's we will find out, I guess. But it looks like that Sony and Canon really, to kind of turn the situation around, they should release something competitive. So that's the thing. From Nikon's point of view, we kind of had the release of Gen 3 cameras. So, what's next? Is it going to be Z9 Mark II? Is it too early to have Z9 Mark II now? Will we see just development announcement? All this is very interesting, and that's the speculations. Tom Hogan is saying that Nikon's inventory has been growing in last quarter, and his thought about this is obviously maybe it's because of Red, but again, Red doesn't shift many units because those are expensive cameras. But it could be that Nikon is building something. Very common nowadays for manufacturers to pre-build enough units and ship them out. Just look at, like, let's say Z8. Z8 saw massive shipments in the first month, especially on the launch day. Even, let's say, in UK, where generally Nikon has like one camera for the, for the YouTubers, they had a camera for everyone on the launch date for them to try and, test the camera. So, so who knows? But I want to see what your thoughts are in the comment below. Says they did the Z-mount Reds, now it's time for the sub 3K cine camera, whatever it might be. Yeah, so Red also obviously slashed the price on their Komodo in Canon mount. I think it's AF mount if I'm not mistaken, or RF. So it's now cost, I think, about $2,500. The question is, will they continue support Canon with their future releases or not? But it's an interesting price, and it's obviously global shutter, APS-C sensor with global shutter, and it's very attractive. And obviously you can adapt this mount to many different mounts. Obviously that camera costs a lot more, and it's a Komodo X. It's not Komodo, the original Komodo. And Komodo X, you can swap the mounts. On Komodo, apparently you can't. So if you're buying this kind of mount, you won't be able to put that mount on it. So that's the reason why it's probably cheaper. But again, it's an interesting trend that we saw that happened in the last few months or so. All right, I'm going to quickly scroll down and see where we're at. Seth, you come in, in November, December, you'll fix our internet. So I just need to survive for the next few months. But it is stressful when you can't rely on your internet. It is very stressful, I can tell you. If I could do it from my house, I'd rather do this, because internet connection outside of London is a lot steadier than in London. Don't know why, but it's strange. All right, double talk. I hear you, sound good, but no video, buffering. Then gone again, no sounds. You are back, loud and clear. Hello from Montreal. Okay, where are we at? Out of sync. Thank you, J Blue. Say happy Friday, Con. Keep calm and carry on. Thank you, J Blue. I appreciate that. Ian Mooson says, hello everyone, it was great to visit Grays Westminster last Friday to see everyone in the show. Ben Moore was helpful with the photo walk. I've been using Z8 already. Fantastic, thank you Ian, it was a pleasure to see you. Robin Pritchard wants Z85 1.85mm to 1.4 lens. Robin, I agree with you on that. I think we need to complete that trilogy. So we got what 3550 and 8514. We do need 28mm, either 1.8 or 1.4. I'll take any of those. We obviously got a pancake. We want a proper lens, so I think Nikon is really slacking on that one. We definitely need something nice in that. Viotrax has released a 28mm 4.5 pancake lens for $100. So if you want a cheaper 28, not even the Nikon 28 2.8, then there's an option there. Not sure how good it is, but we'll find out. Eric Laurie says, I would like Nikon to release a digital bag for film cameras, a new digital rangefinder, a new DSLR, but none of this will ever happen. I agree with you, Eric. It would be nice. It won't happen, unfortunately. Yes, I agree with you. The same I could say with the Nikon digital rangefinder. I would love this, and I would be the first one in line to purchase digital Nikon rangefinder. Reality of this and the probability of this probably close to zero, unfortunately. Robert Daniel says that 85 belongs to Sirui. Have you tried Sirui Cine lenses? Let me know in the comments below. So want to buy a nice set of Cine lenses for myself. Okay. Christopher is speculating that I will be buffering again next week too. You know what? If I could bet on this, I would definitely. Probably the odds are quite high on this. Okay, next week I have a guest schedule, by the way. I haven't confirmed it, but if things go well, it's going to be a very interesting talk, very niche talk about the Nikon lenses, about the lenses that Nikon designed for non-Nikon systems. So maybe not something that is, let's say, super exciting like what's coming next from Nikon, but if you want to see some large format lenses, if you want to see some medium format lenses for Nikon, designed by Nikon and produced by Nikon for other manufacturers, this is kind of an interesting niche talk that we have planned. So if you like to go really deep and niche on something and geek out a little bit, I think that's going to be a conversation. So I hope you like it. I just need to confirm it. It's 99% happening, but I'll have a guest and everything. But it's one of those conversations that we haven't had on this live stream for over what we've been doing this for 5 years now. OMK says, although I have been on the fence on getting a Z30 just to convert to IR since they are so cheap. Z30 is reasonably priced. Absolutely agree with you. And yeah, if you can convert it to infrared, it sounds like a good, inexpensive way to do so. I agree with you. Or have a look at, let's say, maybe Z6 or Z5 secondhand as well, if you want to go full frame. Also, the prices have dropped on them secondhand, so that's the thing, especially with Z6 III coming out. J Blue says, what I think Nikon should release next is Cine-focused hybrid camera and 28, 35, 50, 85, and 105 prime Cine lenses. I agree with you, J Blue. Sounds like it's going to be an expensive proposition, but I think Nikon should release it if they want to kind of plant their foot fully into the Cine territory. And obviously that red collaboration should help with that. Absolutely. I think it's important. It's important to have this from, I would say, even from like a statement point of view of what company, wants to do in that space. So yes, definitely. I think not just having cameras, but also lenses is going to be quite good. And obviously Nikon has expertise in designing lenses and cameras, and Red has been designing cameras for very long as well. Red even had some lenses back in the day, not designed by Nikon, but they had Red lenses, Red branded lenses as well back in the day. So yes, I think it's definitely something that needs to happen, especially with the whole push towards cinema and video from Nikon. I think it's definitely a piece of the puzzle, and it needs to be done. All right, let's see. Robin Daniel says, all lenses I now get have to have character. My Z24-70 2.8 is all the sharpness I need for Z50 and now my ZF. I agree with you, Robert. I'm on the same page. I've got my 24-70 2.8 as well. It's a nice lens. It does the job for whatever I can throw at it, but I'm all about character on my lenses now. And I, sharp and extra sharp and extra sharp doesn't do anything for me personally this day and age. So that's the thing. But everyone is different, and in terms of this, I would say if that's what you want, then there's plenty of lenses coming out every year that will give you that extra sharpness. Okay. Let's go. Andy has a question. He says, do the third-party macro lenses work with the built-in focus stacking feature of the D850? I haven't used it, unfortunately, Andy. I don't know. We don't really have any experience with third-party lenses. We haven't sold in the shop Sigma and Tamron at the time where F-mount was out. So we only started to stock Sigma lens and Tamron lenses when Z-mount was released. So unfortunately, I won't be able to tell you, but I assume if the lens is autofocus, then generally, let's say Sigma and Tamron lenses should work with Nikon automated features. Now, I remember that Tamron, specifically Tamron 90, there were some issues with something for the F-mount. So just read up on that. So I don't know what the issues were, but from my understanding, I think that should be fine. But unfortunately, I haven't tested it because we haven't had access to those lenses at the time. But hopefully it will put you in the right direction. Randall is saying, I'm getting the Viltrox 16mm f1.8 full frame prime today. Congratulations. Wide enough to show plenty of background. Plus, when in crop mode or on APS-C camera, should work for astrophotography, vlogging, etc. Fantastic. Hope you enjoy that lens. It sounds like there's so much good feedback about Viltrox lenses. And since Nikon doesn't have anything around 14 and 16 mil focal distances, it seems like Viltrox is the answer to that. Genex Live says, I wish Tamron would make their 20 to 40 f2.8 for Z mount. Who knows? Maybe they will. They are releasing quite quirky lenses for Z mount, which I love because they're big and heavy and they're different from Nikon. So people who need this, there's definitely lots of options there. So who knows? Maybe they will. Nick Harrison's in the chat. Good to see you. Dave Walk says, not really sure about bodies beyond the Z9 Mark II at the end of the year. That's the thing about the bodies. We have the bodies that we want, and there are no rumors about it, as we mentioned, Z500 and Z7 Mark III. But if you look at the rest of the lineup, it's pretty good. I mean, you got Z5 II, Z6 III, Z8, Z9. That's a pretty good lineup. I think it's definitely competitive with all other brands. If you look at DX lineup, I personally want to have a vibration reduction in the sense I think it's crucial to have. So I personally hope that this will happen. But overall, yes, if you ask me what's next, I don't really know because generally autofocus is already very good. It will get better with the new generation, obviously. As we talked about the pre-capture in RAW, that's what people kind of asked last week as well. So little things like this, again, realistically speaking, I'm not a user of all this latest tech. Like pre-raw capture and things like this. There's a specific need for this, and that's the thing. But for general photography, I think that the system is already very good. When you're a sports wildlife photographer, when every fraction of a second counts, that's where the main push will happen to give you this extra, 1% of performance, you name it, and see the breakthroughs. Obviously, we talked about global shutter, which again, it's kind of, this whole internet thing when, A9 or something like it came out, everyone, that's the next thing, and then nothing happened for a year after that. So, but for general photography, if you got, let's say, anything from Z5 to Z9, I think you're pretty good for now. You're pretty good to go. I don't think that the next iteration of cameras will be significant enough for a lot of people to upgrade, and that's kind of the issue we have in, let's say, with the new tech. It's very iterational. It's not a significant leap anymore. But for DX range, I think there's work to do for Nikon. Obviously, we all know that the DX range is not particularly something that Nikon wants to invest their time in, but hopefully eventually it will happen. And obviously the video push, that's where the main things will happen, in my opinion, this year. So next year, that's where we'll start to see Nikon compete in that space, which is for still photographers not that exciting. I understand this. All right. Let's see. Simon Omar says, I would like to see a full frame, ultra small, compact, 18-200 or 18-300, perfect for travel. I think it will be great for Nikon ZF. I think we'll see something within the range of 24-200, which is already exists. Get something like ultra wide angle in a small size is going to be quite difficult. That's the thing. It's the 18-bit, which is difficult to achieve. Nikon already have 24-200 out. Obviously, there's 28-400, which is a bigger beast, but but it's interesting. If they can do this, it's going to be probably some sort of technological breakthrough, which is going to be quite good. Robert Daniel says, I have truly stepped away from imagery that has that green screen quality. It has its place with architecture, etc., but for most subjects, I prefer character. Robert, this is, great minds think alike. Yes, the same. I'm the same. I'm the same. For personal stuff, I just, there's so many lenses to try nowadays that, there's so much lens to choose from. So you don't need the latest glass to produce a beautiful imagery. So that's the thing. But yeah, everyone is different, but I agree with you. This is exactly kind of the way I feel as well. Thank you, Ian. He says the magazine stopped class again. Well done to the team. I'll pass it on, Ian. Thank you very much. Dave says, he says, think Nikon needs to pick up pace with lenses. Seen 201.8 rumored. A fast fast 14mm 1.8 would be good, and 85 1.4. Love the 35. Would trade my 85 1.8G for that. Yes, the same. I've kind of put myself in a position where I don't think I'll be buying 85 1.2. Never say never, but on a personal level, for what I do right now in this day and age, I can't justify the cost of 85 1.2, and it's amazing lenses. So 85 1.4G will stay for me for now, and that kind of opens an opportunity for Nikon to step in and get 85 1.4 out. So, I agree with you on that one. Obviously, 85 1.2 is absolutely fantastic, and people who need it and who can, earn their money with the lens, it's an investment, and it's definitely a fantastic lens to have. Z35 1.2, we're going to have a video out soon. It's just been finished. I think I'll probably put it up on Monday or something. Again, is another stellar lens from Nikon. Again, you need a big, heavy lens that costs a lot of money, but will produce you a very sharp image at 1.2, which a lot of lenses don't do wide open. You buy, let's say, a 35 1.2 lens from even Voigtland or something. It's not going to be very sharp at 1.2. It's going to be quite soft with lots of vignetting, and that's where Nikon excels. That's what you're paying premium for. You get a very sharp image wide open, and the same applies to 51.2 and 85 1.2. But it is a lot of money for a lot of people, and that's what kind of, that's where we need to have the mid-range lenses, in my opinion. So short and stubby 14, 16, 18 mil, any of those, absolutely. 200, yes, absolutely. If we get 200 f2, which will replace the classic 200 f2G, which is absolutely beautiful lens with a beautiful rendering. If we can get something like this, I agree with you, would be nice. If Nikon can get it to 1.8, even better. I just don't want it to be too massive, or bigger than, let's say, the 200 f2G already is, if you see what I mean. So hopefully it's not going to be there. Greg Lohan says, Nikon rumor has a new rumor that Nikon will announce a third mystery model this year in addition to Z9 Mark II and Z5 video camera, Z7 III that you and I want. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Greg. It was actually good that last week you said about that I want a Z7 Mark III. I don't want a Z8 because I would like a smaller body, and people under this video also kind of agreed to that. There's a need for a smaller body, and you know, if we can get a high resolution camera in a smaller body that doesn't need to be super fast, I think there's a definite need for this. So I think it's a very good argument if we need to put people, if we let's say we're all different and we want to shoot differently, that's the thing. Nikon knows about the 7 Mark III. It's been passed on, trust me. It's been passed on because I've been, basically playing the same balalaika for the last 2 years, So in terms of this, I think they got the idea. But the trend is fast, everything fast, fastest for frame rate. That's where we are. That's indication. But they know that there is a demand for this. So I just hope it gets through somewhere. That's, but nothing that, concrete. That's the thing. But I think there's a need for that. Obviously, Nikon should treat it as a niche camera. That's they shouldn't look at it as their best seller or something like this, but there will be people who will buy this camera. That's the thing. And obviously Z500, again, obviously you guys are quite vocal that you want to have a, DX camera, regardless of different arguments we can have about this. The main argument against Z500 is Z8 is basically price-wise, they're going to be quite close when Z500 is released, things like this. But you're vocal. I think Nikon knows about it, so who knows? Maybe that mysterious camera will be either Z7 III or Z500. Who knows? Daywalk says Z7 Mark III would have to have significantly more megapixels than 45 to be worthwhile. Again, the argument against this is diffraction. So we all know this. That's what you speak to Nikon people and they say diffraction straight away. So we would need to be ready. So it would be more of a technical camera in a way. If you start to push the resolution, then technique becomes very important. That's the reason when Nikon released the 800, which was 36 megapixel, right? And the only camera they had at the time was 12 megapixel camera. So when you jump to 36 megapixels, Nikon had to release a technical guide in order saying, this is the camera, this is the resolution. You need to be a little bit more deliberate with the way you shoot because, you may get a motion blur or, shutter blur at 30s of a second. You can't just shoot at 30s or 60 of a second and get away with it, So all those things may come into play. Obviously, mirrorless system allows you to use electronic shutter, so there's no internal vibration inside it. But I guess diffraction becomes an issue, and that's where people who use cameras like this would need to be aware of this. So Nikon will need to educate people, and I think that's where, let's say, something like technical guide would be quite useful. Chris Clark says, I enjoyed your show last week, but one topic you didn't mention was recording sounds with a Z camera or a Red camera. Well, I didn't deliberately not mention it. I didn't have it in my mind. But recording sounds, it's its own thing. And trust me, we don't have a perfect sound on any videos we shoot. There's a lot of options, obviously, there. Depending on what you film, we use Rode external wireless mics, which I think cost like $250 for two, and it's good enough for me to to have one on me, one on Becky, and one on the camera to record everything internally, and they record the on the mics as well, just in case if we ever need to, if we lose the audio or something, we can always recover that audio from the mics themselves. Audio topic can be its own live stream and can take several hours. That's the thing, and for this type of things, there's lots of YouTube channels that I would recommend you. Let me just quickly, I'm just going to open my YouTube. I'm logged in as Grazer Westminster. Was it Jared? Well, Jared Undone, he does more video stuff, but more for lenses. No. Hold on, Zoom H6 review. Let's just see if something comes up. There's one channel I highly recommend, and obviously I won't be able to find it clearly because I'm logged in as Grazer Smith, so I'm not logged in as me. God. All right. I'm going to make a note for next live stream, and then you ask me again if that's okay. And hopefully I'll have a note on that. But yeah, audio is another thing. I mean, it took us ages to get to those mics and things like this. Yeah, location audio is different. You got shotgun mic, you got boom mics and things like this. Something like interview is completely different setup and things like this. But for all this, overall, a reasonably good audio quality, if you don't want to use external recording devices like Zooms and Rodees and stuff, then just get like wireless mics. DJI does wireless mics, Rode does wireless mics. They're serviceable for like reasonable audio levels, but if you want to go for studio recording things like this, they're this expensive. The equipment goes up in price, if you see what I mean. But yes, when you stop the camera, make sure you don't go over, once it hits yellow, you pretty much good to go. Maybe even go slightly under yellow. Don't go red because you start to get to clip. That's the thing. You can, if the audio is fairly quiet, you can still recover it. Obviously, if it's not too quiet, but if it's clipped, it's clipped. That's the thing. So yeah, Christopher, ask me next week. I'll give you a couple of channels recommendations to look about it. And that's what I personally go for when I need to buy some audio device. Moody Knight says, has Nikon released any Z tilt and shift lenses yet? No, they haven't. I hope they will. Took Fujifilm quite some time to release their tilt and shift lenses for their GFX. I think 3 or 4 or 5 years. So I think Nikon will announce something like this eventually. And to be honest with you, I think now's the time where we may want to see something like, lenses like this, because overall, the range has been covered. Obviously, there are small gaps, but there's no particular important gaps that need to fill. But obviously, we all talked about 200, let's say 1.8 or even 200 macro or short and stable prime lenses. So tilt and shift, all this can come into this. Obviously, more consumer zooms, I would say, also would be quite good. 1 Week Getaway says, if you look at Nikon's willingness to include stock sensors in most of their cameras, I think there's a space for Z7 which prioritizes dynamic range and megapixels over FPS, something like 80 megapixels and 5 FPS. That's what I've been preaching for the last 2 years, 1 Week Getaway. So yeah, that's what I was saying. Low and slow as I would say it, wow us with a dynamic range, give us 2 extra stops of dynamic range. And for a lot of landscape photographers, they'll buy it straight away. That's the thing. But it doesn't make sense for Nikon release another 45 megapixel camera with more or less the same sensor, if you see what I mean. So we need a higher resolution sensor, I assume, just based on this. The question is how far and how high. One of my theories is, obviously, there's a 60 megapixels full frame sensor from Sony that exists, but apparently it is very, very slow. So the thing about we're talking about readouts and things like this. So I think what Nikon probably is trying to do is trying to get a newer generation of sensor with a higher resolution, a faster readout. We're not talking as fast as, let's say, Z9 readout, but something faster than that 60 megapixel sensor readout. So who knows? Maybe that's the case. Again, we speculate today, so there's nothing concrete there, but who knows? OMK says Coolpix A Mark II, definitely. I'm all in. Technically, Coolpix A Mark II will compete with the Ricoh GR series. Some of you know the GR4 development has been announced, so it is coming. But I think, we can get more 28mm prime cameras. Get us Coolpix A 28 millimeter focal distance. Give us Coolpix B with a 35 millimeter lens. So that's going to be our digital version of 28 Ti and 35 Ti. alas, without the viewfinder, but I'll take it. I'll take it. So I think with all the companies coming into point and shoot market and actually craving the niche space in there. So look at X100 and obviously Ricoh GR. Not mentioning half frame, X half frame. It's not the camera, but this is, there's a specific niche and there's a dedicated niche of people. Obviously, Fujifilm released GFX point and shoot as well, So I think there's a space for Nikon to go out and release some nice cameras in this space. So Jay Blue says, Z9 Mark II development announcement in November, December 2025 with availability for May, June 2026. Makes sense. Yes, those cameras, we do get development announcements. So yes, I think it makes sense. Give us a nice Christmas present. Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right. And if you won't see it, let's say in November, December, then we'll probably see February, March development announcement with short release date. Michael Reed says, last compact was P7800, nice size, shoots RAW, 28-200 zoom, etc. Could Nikon produce a new compact camera to stick in a jacket pocket to compete with smartphones, still use P7800 every day? Interesting question. I think if looking at P1100, it's effectively, been released a few months ago. It's effectively the same camera as P1000 with updated things like firmware updates and USB-C introduction, which is by law now required in European Union countries. So that's what it is. So if P7800 can be still produced, so there's some sort of, production line that can be built on that, we can potentially see a P7900, which will be the same camera, more up to date. Anything more than that will require a lot more research and development. That's my thinking behind it. P7800 is a great camera. I agree with you on that. As we said, Z7 III is called Z8. Yes, we talked about this, but the counter argument for that is smaller body. For some people, they prefer smaller body. So that's number one. And number two, again, Z8, Z9, all cameras compete in the same space. As I say, there is a need for, let's say, people who shoot, let's say, landscape photography mainly, but even studio guys who don't need super fast autofocus, let's say. If you're photographing more still subjects or product photography and things like this, current option is 45 megapixel from Nikon, and then you start to look at the medium format system. So GFX, Hasselblads, if you got the budget, you go phase one system, etc. So having a higher resolution body would be interesting for those people. That's kind of the point is. I know that some of you may say pixel shift and things like this, but again, some people just want to get in camera, and again, dynamic range is kind of stabilized across all the bodies. Having an interesting sensor with a, let's say, significantly greater dynamic range above the competition, that would be interesting. You see what I mean? So that's where I think the need and the argument, let's say, against Z8 as a Z7 III replacement, if you see what I mean. So, but yeah, they could be priced similar. One is, let's say, fast and 45 megapixels, Z8, probably camera. Everyone could afford it. That's the best camera. My light just gone off. It gave up on me, at least with no buffering. But, if you have a high resolution but slow body around the same price, then people who buy it, they will know what they're getting. And what the trade-offs of that. That's my thinking behind it. Okay, let's see. Oh, Matt Irvin is in chat. Hello, Matt. Long time no see. How are you? Always good to see you. I've seen your live streams. Fantastic with Bobby. Great live streams. So. Because they come out earlier, it's like you warm up the crowd with your live stream and then we come in. I'm just kidding, but it's nice that you got on that. As we've discussed, whenever you're happy to have me, I'll be happy to be on your live stream. I just probably would have to wake up very early to get to the Australian time. Okay, Kirill Grushko. Hello, Kirill. Good to see you. He says, question, why are Nikon complain about diffraction? Like I know they had 60 megapixels for a while now. I think, Kirill, it's more of a marketing thing. You know, when people say, no, we're going to promote 45 megapixel cameras, then when we start to talk about it, people say, oh, but this is the counter argument. This is, diffraction. You see, I would say we bring this argument when it's convenient to us, if you see what I mean. So that's my thinking behind it, because I've noticed that as well. And we are here to cover all aspects, regardless of what. You know what? My light just gone off, but I look so three-dimensional now. This is one light setup with a softbox. Look at this. I'm in 3D now, much better. I should just use that. Who needs two lights having a flat face, This is nicer. From now on, this and a candlelight and a glass of whiskey. All right, let's go and read the chat. What time is it? 3:07. We're gonna stay a bit longer since I was buffering for the first 5 minutes. So let's do this. Let's see. 28 millimeter equivalent for 35 mil on Nikon medium format camera. Yes. Would be good. Well, we have Matt Irvin in the chat who started the rumor about Nikon medium format camera. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on the medium format sensor on the Nikon camera? Do you have update for us? I'm going straight to the source on this one. Let's see. Fantastic. Good to see you, Matt. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we need to chat. We definitely need to chat. Whenever you have time. I know you've been busy. Your channel been growing really, really well. Congratulations. I will be really rooting for you. All right. Let's see. I'm always at work for both live streams, says Single Track 66. Yes. We should have live stream, like 3 live streams or 4 live streams, around Friday, and then people can just tune in on different ones. But yes, I think it's good. It's good to have more live streams happening every week because, with those things, like imagine I'm going to go away on holiday for like a month. I'm going to be driving, places, the world in my car, and then, you guys are still here and you need to talk photography and Nikon, and, Matt has his live stream. So it's absolutely amazing, Matt, I want to, are you still doing the Matt, Seth and Richie live stream? I want to see that one. Surprise us, definitely. We want that. All right, Andre Senna. Andre, I passed your message to Bruno, so he hasn't replied to me. I don't know if he replied to you, but whoever emailed me for the questions to email to Bruno, I did. They're with him, so I've done my part. So hopefully they come back to you on this one. So Andre is saying, I think something like the Nikon Z 100-300, 120-300 2.8 lens is in the future. Yes, I think it is in the future. I think the only reason why we don't see it is because 120-300 lens came out basically very late in the F mounts years, and that's kind of the thing about this. It was one of the last lenses basically that were released for F mount. There's definitely, I think, in the last 5 lenses. So it's not the first one to be replaced, and it's definitely a new generation design from Nikon, so it's still very, very competitive. So that's kind of my logic behind why they're not releasing it anytime soon. But who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. That's the thing. We kind of, right now, it's very difficult to say what lens do we need next, because as you say, everyone puts in different, some people want 85-1.4, some people want 200 1.8. There's no particular need we need 24-70 2.8, if you see what I mean, because there's nothing there. So there's good lineup of lenses. Very difficult to say what Nikon will release next lenses wise. But yes, I would love 85-1.4 again. There's no need for that. Not urgent need, but short and stubby prime, I think that would be my call personally, but also 200 macro, because there's a lot of photographers who want to do that. All right. So Matt says, sadly, I don't think we'll see Nikon medium format Z camera anytime soon. So that's the answer to this. I assume no rangefinder camera either. But the man can dream, if you see what I mean. So yes, I definitely, if Nikon, release something like this, that would be cool. If you want to learn about Nikon designing lenses for medium format cameras, 99% guaranteed we're going to talk about it next live stream. Very niche, very geeky talk about what Nikon released, what lenses Nikon released for third-party systems. It hasn't been confirmed, but it's 99% there. It's in my calendar, so could be cool. All right, let's see. Let's go down the chart. I think I've caught up with the chart, which is really good. What else did I have on my calendar here? So, yes, photography challenge. Next photography challenge is pet photography challenge. Send me portraits of your pets, and we're going to show them at the end of June. So there is still time. So do that because we love all the creatures, and I would love to see them all. So, because every time I see your submissions, guys, I'm just so happy. I'm just giggling how cute your pets are. That's the thing. And obviously, I can show you hundreds of pictures of Tilly as well. But I'll limit myself to one. Rudolf is in chat. He's from Slovakia. He says 28mm 1.8S, and I absolutely agree with you. We need a 28mm. I think it's definitely an emission, and 28mm is a classic focal distance. So not just having 28 2.8, which is a nice pancake lens, but it's not particular. Let's say it's not breaking any grounds in terms of sharpness. I know I don't like sharpness, so I don't really care. But I feel like 28 1.8 is the lens that needs to be. Nick Harrison's 124-70 f 1.2. I guess it will come in the truck and in the driver. So sounds like a big and expensive exercise. But who knows? Who knows? If they release something like this, why not? I'll be, won't buy one. I can tell you that much. I'd rather go for a 1.2 set of primes personally, but who knows? We've seen 24-70 1.8, I think, as far as we know, or f2. Those were around as well. Judge Photography Club says, we do need a faster 28mm with character. 28mm has always been low priority from Nikon, and I agree with you. Now, 28 1.4 E is one of the best Nikon lenses, in my opinion. Maybe not much character on that one, but it's just distortion control on that thing, and the sharpness is just mwah. But for now, in the absence of 28mm from Nikon with a character, 28 f1.5 Voigtlander is absolutely stunning lens. Had one customer of ours called me up the other day, so I can't speak to Con, and, we've spoken, and he said, look, thanks for selling me this 28 to 105. We had a chat for about an hour just deciding between different Voigtlander lenses and things like that. And he says, this lens is absolutely amazing. It's stunning what it can do. The image quality is fantastic on this one. Some complaints about people mounting M-mount version of that 28mm 1.8 on Z camera, and it's not performing as well as the native glass. That is normal because the M-mount version designed for thinner stack of sensor for Leica mount. Nikon, Sony, Canon cameras have the sensor slightly thicker. So while those lenses will perform well, they're not going to perform as well as on Leica cameras, if you see what I mean. So some lenses perform better, some not as well. So that's where the native glass sometimes makes sense to buy. So that particular 28 1.5 Voigtlander for Z mount, the native glass, it definitely performs better on Z camera than, let's say, M version of that lens on Z camera. So just keep that in mind. But it's fantastic lens with a character, So since people didn't comment on anything on DZO film lenses, cine lenses, so I guess no one used them. But if you used cine lenses, DZO film lenses, please let me know in the comments, because I'm thinking of buying one and I need your feedback. I want to know. All right. How about 28mm 1.8 with a proper clicker aperture ring, says Single Track C6. I'll take that. Definitely. Let's see, 24 millimeter 1.4D is amazing. I think it's 28 millimeter 1.4D if I'm not mistaken, not 24 mil. Rare, expensive. But yeah, I think I saw 3 or 4 examples. Like I worked with Gray since 2008, so over those years, so it's not 20 years, over 17 years, I think 3 or 4 of those lenses coming into the shop. Very interesting lens, but the 28-14E, it's just, yeah, it's good. It's just on another level. That's for sure. Single Track says also, I bought the 40mm 1.2 Voigtlander lenses on your recommendation, Con. I love it. Well, my job here is done Single Track 66. I'm glad you enjoyed. I'm personally in love with this lens. I think it's one of those lenses that just oozing with character, you know. So yeah. And 28-1.5 is kind of a nice addition to that as well. It's something that if you've got a Nikon ZF, those 2 lenses will perform absolutely amazingly. We need something like 75, about the same size, maybe 75 1.8, and that would be just complete the trilogy of our Voigtlander lenses for Nikon Z specifically, you know. So but yes, it's definitely one of those lenses that I thoroughly enjoy. And 40 f2 Nikon, while it is a nice lens and it's a very inexpensive lens, it is not on the same level as the Voigtlander. You will need to use manual focus, but it's worth all those inconveniences. For some people, not having autofocus is inconvenience. I don't know. I'm shooting manual focus most of the time nowadays. Even for video work. I bought an autofocus lens for my cinema camera, the Blackmagic one. And I still prefer to mount, let's say, Voigtlander f2 f mounts on the wire adapter and use it manually, stick and defilter on it. Again, amazing character. So maybe I should get L to Z mount and try that Voigtlander as well. Who knows? All right, guys. Well, I think this is the time where we're gonna say goodbye. Hopefully, I'm not gonna buffer it. But join me next week for that conversation. I'll confirm everything once I have full on. But Nikon lenses for non-Nikon cameras, I think that's the topic for next week. If everything pans out, definitely try, it's one of the conversations that I think I'll enjoy very much and I'm going to learn a lot. But in the meantime, send me some of your pet photography submissions, first of all. Go take your camera out, take some photographs, share them on socials with us. And if you have any questions that you want me to answer for the next live stream, definitely leave them in the comments on this video. I will do that.